So this video is actually going to be on the basic training side of Blake's Air Force career. I just literally just filmed a video on the enlistment process, so feel free to go check that out if you have any questions about the when and why he wanted to join, or the recruitment process in general. I'll put the link in the description bar, and hopefully you guys check that out. So, like I said, this video is actually going to be on basic training for the Air Force, and kind of how I dealt with things and what to expect if you have a significant other who's going through basic training right now or is about to. Blake went to basic training. He flew down on November 11th of 2012 for the Air Force. The basic training for the Air Force is 8.5 weeks long. Exactly. They always start on a Tuesday and they always end on a Friday. So if you're trying to figure out when your significant other or son or grandson's graduation is, check out a calendar, find the Tuesday that they start, count out 8 weeks, and then go to that Friday. That's how you figure it out. So based on that logic, he went down on it was the 13th, excuse me. He graduated on January 11th, but he flew down and started basic training on November 13th. The night before, he had to stay in a hotel and go to MEPS the next morning, Military Entrance Processing Station, and he had to go there and get some testing done beforehand. Everybody does that. You leave from MEPS directly to the airport. You go to the airport. He had to fly from Seattle to Salt Lake City, and then Salt Lake City to San Antonio. Got off the plane at like really, really late that night, and got on a bus, took him to Lackland Air Force Base, and he started his basic training. For him, basic training was really rough in the beginning. It's a hard environment to kind of get used to. But you do kind of get used to it a little bit. The way he put it was that it's not getting easier, but we're getting better at it, is how he said it. So you kind of get used to the yelling and what is expected of you in the in basic training in the Air Force. You learn to walk a certain way, you learn to talk a certain way, you have to greet people a certain way, it's very specific stuff that you do. And it's a little bit scary because you got MTIs, military training instructors, basically drill instructors, screaming at you if you do something wrong. But you don't know if you're going to do anything wrong until you do it, and then you get yelled at. Like I said, the first couple weeks for him were really rough. Letters from that time that I got from him were really, really sad and a little bit scared and disappointed, because he sounded so sad. Those were the most heartbreaking letters that I received from him. But it did get easier. It did get easier as he went on in the military, in basic training. It got a lot easier for him, I believe. And he graduated on time and everything. He didn't get washed out. He didn't get pushed back. He didn't get recycled. Nothing bad happened to him. But it was definitely an experience. He says it's something that he won't ever regret, but he'll never want to go back to again. On my side of things, it was definitely a lot harder in the beginning as well. Blake and I had lived together, and we spent literally every single day together, and then all of a sudden he was kind of taken away from me, and I couldn't see him, and I couldn't talk to him, and there was no contact for a really long time, and it was a totally new environment to get used to, and it was really rough at first. But what's important is that I kind of got into my own little routine of things. I did a lot of schoolwork. I saw my friends a lot. I made sure I was busy. Keeping yourself busy is super important when you have a significant other in basic training, because you can't talk to them very much. I wrote him every single day. I wrote him letters every single day, sent him letters every single day. I was kind of obsessive about it. It was kind of like my nighttime routine. I would literally write him every single day, and hope to hear back from him soon. It made it easier for me because it was like 1 letter down, 2 letters down, 3 letters down, and it got easier and easier and easier. It was kind of like a countdown thing for me. So that helped me a lot, writing letters. In your letters, you can't send anything that they probably really want. You can't send them nude pictures. You can't send them candy or chocolates. Probably not a good idea to fill it with confetti or glitter, because then they'll just have to clean it up and get yelled at for it. And None of the good stuff. You can write them letters, though. So I wrote him handwritten letters every single day, and he wrote back. He did write back, not nearly as much as I wrote to him. I think I got a total of 17 letters or so. I got like 2 or 3 letters per week. And a lot of the times they would come on the same day. I would have like no letters for like 5 or 6 days, and then I'd get this influx of like 3 letters in a day, and it was awesome. Those letters you cherish for the rest of your life. I have them all in a bag, and I read them every so often because they're magical. Those letters are fantastic, and they bring back so many memories. So they can't receive care packages at all, and you can't exactly visit them or anything like that. You gotta stick to letters. On top of the letters, they do get a weekly phone call home. He would call me usually on Fridays or Saturdays. You really don't know when they're gonna call. You have to be strapped to your phone and hope that they call. And he would call for 15 minutes. He got every week. He got one 15-minute phone call per week. But I was kind of lucky at the same time because he went on November 13th. He was there for Thanksgiving, and he was there for Christmas and New Year's. So I got all 3 of those holidays where he could call home on top of his 15-minute phone call. So, for example, on Thanksgiving we talked for an hour on the phone because he was doing Thanksgiving things, and because he was there for Thanksgiving, he actually got to go off base, and they did a family mock Thanksgiving sort of thing. So he was kind of like in a foster family for the day where they fed him turkey and stuffing and like traditional Thanksgiving food. And they also, the mom, and her name was Nadine, she gave him her cell phone, so he got to call me and talk to me for a decent chunk of time, which was awesome. Christmas was the same way. He didn't get to go off base and get like a Christmas breakfast or dinner or anything, but he did get to call home and talk to family for a good chunk of the day. New Year's was the same way. I woke up New Year's Day to a phone call from him. It was 7 a.m. and he called home. He called me. We talked for like a half an hour, I think. I was so tired, but I took that phone call. It was the greatest day ever because I got to talk to him. And I was so thankful because those 15-minute phone calls, he usually called me, which was awesome. He called his dad and mom on Christmas and Thanksgiving on top of a phone call to me, but he made sure to check in with me every week to make sure I was okay, which was like the sweetest thing ever. And I always was, and he held back tears a couple of times, but it was hearing that his voice is incredible. That you hope those phone calls come, and you wait by your phone like it's none other, and those phone calls were great. So I'm actually going to dive into graduation on a totally separate video because it was like a weekend of things. So I'm actually going to film that in just a second, and if you're curious about the graduation from basic and how that everything goes, then stay tuned and check out that video. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you soon.